Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 7-game NBA main slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you cannot watch these YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast. Link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on patreon.com. An esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO. CSGO, we got slates every single day. Call of Duty, normally 4 times a week. And then I also offer an NBA package. In the NBA package, you get private roster construction video for every single main slate, private roster construction video for every single showdown slate, the night slate. You get player pool with core plays, cash plays, GPP plays, and if-then statements regarding injuries. So, for example, if this player is out, then this. And then most importantly, you get the private Patreon live stream before lock, where I tell everyone exactly what I'm doing, really hammer home game theory and what I think is the optimal lineup, and what, maybe a couple chances or a couple, risks I'm willing to take to differentiate myself from the field in the higher dollar tournaments. So if you guys are interested in that, also, again, link in the description below. And I probably should have Prize Picks, the sponsor of the show, up. My bad about that. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, the idea is, again, you take over under and fantasy points, and they will have second half contests. They have fourth quarter contest. If you see one that's like, there's an edge sometimes where there's a game that's a blowout and you see starters that are projected for 10 fantasy points, obviously you can take the under, right? So let's keep an eye on these because these will move. But let's see, they have 8 players posted for tomorrow. They'll have a lot more throughout the day as well. And you can mix and match sports. So, you can play a couple from MLB. You can take a couple over-unders here. You can take a couple from NBA. They have esports. Again, CSGO. They have Call of Duty. Everything. Everything you can ask for. So, if you guys want to try it up, you can sign up and use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below. You get a 100% match up to $100. So, basically, you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So you guys already know what's coming, right? I was trying to put on my serious face, my serious tilt face. I mean, there's just, I don't know. I can only laugh about it now. You can only laugh about it. Yep, I had the notes. Don't worry, they're over there. I didn't bring them over here for this video, but yeah, basically gonna have a novel by the end of the season, the way this last week has gone with this, just the crazy amount of stuff. So, all right, let's look back at my lineup here. Again, super tilting night once again. So, went with McConnell, Karis LeVert, Jeremy Lamb, Zion Williamson, Goga, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Anderson, Trae Young. So, let's see. Where do we start? I guess we can start with one that I hit on. TJ McConnell. Now, I was surprised. I thought he would be a lot lower owned because he was the chalk last slate. He busted. I figured, people are going to have recency bias. I thought he would be under 20%. He was 39% in the high dollar. I was surprised. People are a lot sharper. I did not think people will go back to McConnell. I told everyone on Patreon last time, hey, I'm going back to McConnell. I think the ownership is going to be really low. It wasn't as low as I thought. Okay, Karis LeVert. If you told me the Indiana Pacers scored 141 points tonight with no Turner, no Sabonis, and no Brogdon, and that Karis LeVert had 31 fancy points without getting injured or without getting in foul trouble, I literally would have called you a crazy person. 141 points. And LeVert puts up 31 fancy points. Now, he was the absolute chalk, as I thought he should have been. 80%, I honestly thought he should have been higher. I really thought he was the easiest play in the slate. And I can't believe that happened. Literally unreal that he only goes for 31 in that spot. Jeremy Lamb, what was that Pacers rotation tonight? That made no sense what they did. Let me bring this up. If you play Doug McDermott, I feel awful for you because he was a good play. He was chalk too in the high dollar. I just didn't get to him. So, again, McDermott was a really good play tonight. McDermott only played 16 minutes, and it's not like he played bad. He had 12 points and 2 boards in that time. 5 of 8 shooting. Like, he was a guy playing mid to high 20s minutes. I thought he maybe push for 30 in this one since they're even more shorthanded. And he plays 16. So not even someone I have, but I'm tilting for you if you played McDermott. Because, again, and he was high owned in this tournament, as he should have been. I feel for you there. Let's see. I mean, like, what is a Keelan Martin? What is a Keelan Martin? He gets dusted off for 13 minutes. Jeremy Lamb only plays 20, and Lamb played pretty well, but he only played 20 minutes. I was expecting a little bit more. McConnell played 35 after playing 24 last game. Aaron Holiday, yeah, that was so tilting. Aaron Holiday shoots 6 of 8 and plays 22 minutes. Jakar Sampson gets dusted off for 21 minutes. It was just this Pacers rotation was just weird. It was just weird. So, yeah, again, I expected more minutes from Lamb. I expected more minutes from McDermott. They're both the absolute chalk in the high dollar tournament. So that was a little bit frustrating. Okay, so this last 3 or 4 days, it feels like the beginning of the NBA regular season this year. I don't know if you guys have been playing NBA all year. If you started at the beginning of the year, you know what I'm talking about, right? With blowouts every single night and like multiple blowouts and games that should stay close, right? Just random blowouts. And this is the variance I'm talking about, right? The random blowouts will absolutely kill you. Well, everyone else I have in this lineup burned because of a blowout. Zion Williamson was on pace for a really, really big game. He was. I know he only had 33 fantasy points. He got pulled like 5 minutes into the second half and just never returned. Stan Van Gundy just waved the white flag. Just done. Yanked Zion and Lonzo early. If that game stays close, I think we get at least 50 from Zion. In my opinion, that game was being played super fast, no defense. So just, again, you cannot predict that type of stuff. So frustrating. So frustrating. Lonzo Ball, I don't know if you guys watched that first quarter. He had like negative 0.5 fantasy points. He picked it up a lot in the second quarter. And sure, again, that the slow start obviously hurt. But if the game stays close, we probably get at least close to value, if not hitting value for Lonzo too. And he got pulled really, really early in the second half. So just truly unfortunate with a random blowout there with Zion and Lonzo Ball. Because both, I think, Zion would have crushed. Lonzo, I think, would have got close to getting there. And you get an Eric Bledsoe career game. Like, you have got to be kidding me. Eric Bledsoe. And then he gets ejected. But, yeah, he was, like, crushing it. I'm just looking at my phone. I'm like, with Zion and Lonzo, and it's really Eric Bledsoe having the massive game. Like, really? Yeah, Goga, again, him and Okongo. Okongo was the guy that ended up starting. I was like, I think the optimal build is play both those value centers in Okongo and Goga. Goga had a big game, was the chalk, as he should have been. And then finally, Memphis-Atlanta, right? A game that projected really, really close. Really supposed to be a tight game. Blowout. Low-owned slow-mo. On pace for mid-50s fantasy points. Blowout. Barely plays the fourth. Trae Young, again, was great start. Blowout, right? These guys lose big minutes. So, super frustrating. Super, super frustrating that basically my lineup got killed because of blowouts, right? If that New Orleans game stays close and the Memphis-Atlanta game stays close, I'm probably cashing tonight. So, it's just the unpredictable blowouts that killed me, right? Nailed McConnell. Goga was good. Kyle Anderson, low owned. Just unfortunate. Just truly unfortunate. It's very, very tilting. Again, there's just nothing you can do. These random blowouts, it's been happening, and it feels like it's been happening so much this year, right? It feels like the beginning of the year. So that's all I got for the look back, guys. Hope you guys had a better night. And, oh, last thing, John, I literally told him, I was like, on Patreon, I was like, even in the YouTube live stream, I was like, all right, John Wall on a minutes limit, lock him in for 35 minutes. What happened tonight? Literally played 35 minutes. Like, what? Nothing makes sense anymore. Nothing. All right. That is it for the look back. All right, let's talk about this. What do we have? 7 games. So Lakers and Heat, a 204.5 over under. The Heat, 8-point favorites. Cavs and Thunder, a 212 over under. The Cavs are 3-point favorites. Suns and Clippers, a 224 over under. The Clippers are 5-point favorites. And Blazers, Jazz, 231 over under. The Jazz, 7-point favorites. So we'll start off with the Lakers and the Heat. Kind of just an ugly game here for the LA Lakers, going up by tough defense in the Miami Heat. Kuzma, again, had a nice half a fantasy point a minute for me last time I played him. It's not necessarily the best matchup. He's a fine contrarian play. Same as Schroeder, right? Normally, these are the two guys that are going to carry this roster, besides that last game when it was Marc Gasol, Devontae Kakak, and Alex Caruso. Drummond. So Drummond is probable. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. With Drummond playing, though, I don't think Marc Gasol plays. That's what happened last game when Drummond was available. Like, Marc Gasol wasn't in the rotation until Drummond got injured. I don't know about his minutes. Like, he could play 15 minutes tomorrow. I would not be surprised. He could play 30 minutes tomorrow, and I would not be surprised. If he plays 30, he's probably going to crush. Obviously, if he plays 15, he's probably going to sink your lineup. So, a good tournament play. Again, I just have no idea what Drummond's minutes are going to be. No idea. Then I'm off Harrell, obviously off Gasol. Probably it. Like, I know THT, Markieff Morris had good shooting games. I don't really want to go there. So the Lakers are a team I don't love, which means this game will go to triple overtime and everyone will smash. Moving on to Miami. So basically fully healthy team. This game in general just super slow, projected to be super low scoring. I think Jimmy's a fine spend up, not my favorite though. Bam Adebayo, if you want to go there, he had a triple-double last game, I think is a decent option. Again, not a priority for me. No thank you in Depot, no thank you in Hero. Basically, no one else I've mentioned. They're just too deep right now. Like, Ariz is at 3.8. I could see making the argument for him. Because of the price point, 26, 32, 26 minutes. He'll probably hover in the mid-20s for minutes. So, like, yeah, I could see getting to Ariza, but not a ton that stands out on the Miami side either. Moving on to Chicago and Toronto. So Chicago looks like Daniel Tice is back. We'll start at the top of Vucevic. 9.1K. So I think he should be able to have his way against whoever Toronto tries to throw out there, whether it be Baines or Boucher or an undersized Siakam. I do like Vooch at this price. And last couple games, he's really turned it on recently. Chicago starting to run the offense more through Vooch. 50, 63 fantasy points last couple games. He's at 9-1. I think Vooch is a pretty good spend up. Zach LaVine, again, just has taken a hit usage-wise for sure with Vooch. Now, he did have a bad shooting game. He shot 6 of 18. Still went for 40 fantasy points. So I think LaVine is viable. I think, though, if I'm spending up, I would prioritize getting Vooch in there first. And like Thad Young, Lauri Markkanen, not completely out of play, but not really looking to them with Tice back. Sato at 5.2 has played 31 and 34 minutes the last couple of games, but the price just seems about right. I could see taking a shot on Kobe White. Did play 31 minutes the last game. We probably get somewhere in the mid-20s minutes for him, and he's at a price of 4.2. You know, like, I don't love it. Same kind of thing with Patrick Williams. Daniel Tice is at 3.7K. He is back. He's been hovering around the 20 to 25 minute mark. I think he's in play for value. Definitely. There's not a ton of like smash value at the moment. So Tice is definitely someone I'm considering because of the price point. Moving on to Toronto, I really, really dislike talking about this team right now. Van Fleet, Lowry, both out again. Pascal Siakam, I mean, if it wasn't for playing basically all of garbage time, he would not have gotten there. He's been very up and down. The upside is there. It is a good matchup. Your guess is as good as mine as which Siakam we get. Are we going to be aggressive on offense Siakam? Or are we going to get the Siakam that kind of defers offensively and doesn't do a ton? I don't know. Obviously Lowry and Van Fleet being out helps him, but he's been still inconsistent. So like the upside in Siakam, just been an inconsistent player recently. OG Anunoby, if you played him last slate, I feel for you. Got ejected. Normally, he's probably going to play mid-30s minutes. I don't love the price point, but I think he's in play. If I'm going to spend up on a Toronto guy, I think I would just spend all the way up with Siakam. Gary Trent Jr., you guys know I don't love playing him because of his scoring-dependent nature. 22 and 19 fantasy points the last couple of games in big minutes, and the reason he busted was he just wasn't really hitting a shot. So I think he's viable. He'll probably play 30 to 35 minutes, but again, he's got to hit his shots. Chris Boucher finally hopped off him, and he has a big game. Goes for 33 fantasy points. Now, sure, OG getting ejected probably helped him play a few more minutes. This is a bigger front court. I'm curious to see if they start him again. They might start Baines. If they do start Aaron Baines today, I think he could be, or tomorrow, I think he could be a viable value option because we've seen Toronto start Baines against the really big centers. I don't know if Boucher can handle Vooch. So if Aaron Baines starts, I actually do like him for value because I think he could play like mid-20s minutes. So keep an eye on the starting lineup. But if Baines starts, I actually would like him. And then value. So Malachi Flynn will probably continue to come off the bench. The price had come up to 4.7, but we should get around 30 to 35 minutes. A guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Had a really slow start to last game, but picked it up. I think he's still viable at that price. And then Bembry will most likely start at point guard. He's played 30 and 32 minutes the first couple games. I think he's also a pretty solid value play. Nice that you can play him at small forward too. Now, I think he got extended a little bit more this last game because of the ejection. But yeah, those two guys for value I think are for sure in play. Cleveland, OKC. Ugh, another just ugly game. Sexton and Garland are both in play for tournaments. Don't love either. Garland, I know he had the big game last game, but usually will hover in like the 25 to 35 fantasy point range, which is solid, right? It's solid. Sexton, kind of the same thing. He'll probably hover in the mid-30s fantasy point range. He can have upside every once in a while. So if you land on either Cleveland guard, I think that's all right. Again, it's not really a priority place. Kevin Love at 5'8", minutes slowly coming up on him, 20, 23, 26. I think we get somewhere around mid-20s fantasy points, or mid-20s minutes, which makes him a viable play for sure at that price. He's a solid point per minute guy. If you're willing to take a shot at Hartenstein and willing to know that there's a really good chance he gets in foul trouble, that's fine, right? Because Hartenstein's a really good point per minute guy. Minutes have been a little up and down, but definitely viable for tournaments. The last guy I mentioned is Taurean Prince. Off the bench, he's played 32, 26 minutes the last couple of games. Gone for 32 fantasy points in each of those games. I think he's someone that is in play for value. Not a ton of standout value at the moment. Moving on to OKC. So again, Moses Brown still a little bit pricey. We had to monitor a lot of guys. Pokusevski left the game late. I don't think Baisley, Roby, and Dort play, but they're all listed as questionable. My guess is no. If Pokusevski is out too, then they're a lot thinner. So then a guy like Maladon at 5'3", I think becomes a really solid play. He played 36 minutes tonight, and the upside is there. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but if Pokusevski's out, that's a higher usage guy out of this offense. Kenrich Williams had a nice game, like almost a triple-double, 6, 9, and 9. He's a guy who can stuff the stat sheet. I think, again, if Pokusevski's out, Williams looks pretty solid. Tony Bradley's always in play for value. He'll get around 20 minutes. He's a decent point per minute guy. So on a slate that right now kind of lacks some value, I think Bradley's someone we can look to. And then, keep an eye on whoever starts if Pokusevski's out and all those other guys are out. Like maybe the move Jalen Horde in the starting lineup. If he starts, someone we could look to. So definitely some value here for OKC, depending on what happens with some of these guys. Pokusevski and the stats of Baisley, Roby, Dort, but I don't think they play. Milwaukee, Dallas. So big news, Giannis doubtful, which means Milwaukee's a team I want some exposure to. We'll start with Drew and Middleton. In my opinion, two of the best plays of the slate. Both should play mid-30s minutes. Both get a massive boost without Giannis. Love both these two. Again, I think they're two of the best plays of the slate. Assuming Bobby Portis starts again, I think he's one of the best plays in the mid-range. I think we get 25 to 30 minutes out of him. Great point per minute guy. Had a double-double last game. Really like Bobby Portis if he starts. And then guys like DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, definitely in play. I would say they're probably the fourth and fifth guys in if I was going to, prioritize the Bucks. But yeah, DiVincenzo will get about 30 minutes. Pat Connaughton at 4.2 probably get somewhere around 25 to 30. So those two for sure in play as well, but not priorities for me. Not really looking at Brook Lopez. Jeff Teague will get dusted off for about 15 minutes at the min price if you want to take a shot on him. I will mention Thanasis Antetokounmpo at the flat min. Did play 20 minutes the last game with no Giannis. I think he's viable. The only concern is the game before that with no Giannis, only 8 minutes. So it's like the minutes don't seem secure, but he's also min price. So this is one where it's a risk, but I could see taking a shot there and just hope he plays like close to 20 minutes. On the Dallas side, Luka continues to be disappointing. He does, but this is a game that should be played at a pretty fast pace. He shot terribly, 9 of 26. If you want to just game stack this and go like Drew, Middleton, and run it back with someone on Dallas, Luka's probably the guy to run it back with. Porzingis, he's been banged up. It's a back-to-back. We'll see if he plays. If he does play, fine, contrarian option. If he doesn't play, then I want to see what they do their starting lineup for their bigs, possibly Melly. I don't know if I can stomach Kleber after what he did to me last game. Maybe Boban gets a few minutes, so possibly some value here for Denver if Porzingis is out. Phoenix and the Clippers, so Booker at price to 9-2 has been playing really well, but I don't really love the matchup here. Chris Paul at 8-3. I think I would rather have Paul than Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton at almost 7K. Just kind of seems priced about right. There's not a ton of Phoenix one fully healthy, just a tricky team. There's a tricky team to get to. Like Jay Crowder, I think, is a fair play in the mid-range. He'll probably get somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes and probably get you around 20 to 25 fantasy points, which, again, I think is fine. But I don't know if he has like a ton of upside. On the Clippers side, so they're now extending their rotation a bit, which makes it a little bit tricky here for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard has been really, really consistent. Even with Paul George back, he's a guy that should play mid-30s minutes, a guy that can stuff his stat sheet. Even in a tough matchup, I think Kawhi's a safe play. Paul George, a guy that's been a little bit more up and down, but the upside is there. I would say he's more of a GPP play. Kawhi more for cash. Zubac at 5-2. The worry is he only played 24 minutes the last game. They did sign Boogie Cousins to a 10-day contract, so like they have him to back him up. Again, I think Zubac is just like a fair play. And then the guards, I just don't think I can stomach it because they got Reggie, they got Mann, Beverly, Rondo now. Like, there's too many guards. There's too many guards here. Beverly started. He played 20 minutes. Sure, I guess you can play him, but they have like 4 point guards on this roster. And then I will mention the Boogeyman. He's at the flat min price. We know he's a good point per minute guy. He played 8 minutes in his first game and went for 14.5 fantasy points. I don't know what his role yet is going to be on this team, but if maybe Zubac gets in some foul trouble, you could see Boogie Cousins crush this salary if the minutes are there. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. All right, 2 games left, Portland and the Utah Jazz. Damian Lillard at 9.5. It's not necessarily the best matchup, but I think he's a viable tournament play because we know the upside is still there with him. CJ, I think I like the price a little bit better on him at 7.8 as opposed to Damian Lillard at 9.5. Now keep an eye on Nurkic. Nurkic news is pretty big. If he's out, I think Kanter's one of the better plays, even in a tough matchup because he played 36 minutes at last game. We know Kanter's a solid point per minute guy. Utah's a big team. I don't really think they can go small, so Kanter's a guy that if Nurkic is out is one of my favorite plays in the slate. And then Covington Powell and Portland really just ran the starters big minutes. 37 minutes for Powell. Covington played 36. If they're going to continue to play those type of minutes, I'm fine getting to either of them. I know the matchup's not great, but hey, they're going to play massive minutes. On the Utah Jazz side, so I like the matchup. It's just the Jazz one fully healthy, another team that I'm like, I never love targeting the Utah Jazz when they're, again, a team that is at full strength. Now, it's a back-to-back, right? Yeah, because the Jazz played the Suns tonight. So I think there's a chance Conley might rest because we've seen him rest in a couple back-to-backs so far this year. If Mike Conley is out, then that changes things. Then Donovan Mitchell becomes a really good spend up at 8.6K. Then Ingles, Clarkson become 2 of the best plays of the slate. So keep an eye on this. That is big news, Mike Conley. If Mike Conley plays, not super interested in like the secondary options, then it'll probably be the top 3 guys with Mitchell, Gobert, Conley. So this one, again, keep an eye on. If Conley's out, that could open up some plays like Ingles, like Clarkson, and then would really make Mitchell look like one of the best plays at the top. Finally, Detroit, Sacramento. Throw a dart. It's like playing the lottery with these Detroit guys. They're going to run like a 15-man rotation. No one's going to play big minutes. A few of these guys will have good games. Good luck trying to figure out which one's going to be. I'll do my best to break down, but really, this almost feels like a guessing game. So no Jeremy Grant is pretty big. It is pretty big. I'm curious to see what they do with the starting lineup. Mason Plumlee, 5'9". Again, good matchup. In a close game, he probably plays 25 to 30 minutes. Definitely viable. Hamidou Diallo, after playing 26, 24, 24 minutes the previous 3 games, randomly, just play him 17 minutes. That's a little bit worrisome. But we know Diallo is a good point per minute guy. If he plays mid to high 20s minutes, he could crush. Josh Jackson at 4.7. Minutes, hovering around the low 20s. Again, he's a good scorer. I think he's in play. I'm going to say that about a ton of guys. Sadiq Bey at 4.3. Assuming Sadiq Bey starts, I think he plays mid to high 20s in minutes. So he's a guy that I think is very intriguing. Isaiah Stewart will play the backup 5. Don't love it. And then they have like 50 guards here. Saban Lee, Corey Joseph, DSJ, Killian Hayes, Wayne Ellington. Okafor might be back. They have Frank Jackson. What is a Tyler Cook? But he might play some minutes. They have Sekou that can dust off for a few minutes. So, guard-wise, Killian Hayes at 3.2, the rookie. Played 25 minutes, most of it in a blowout that last game. I don't know how much he plays in a close game right now. So, I guess he's viable, but I don't feel great about it. And then they have so many guards. Dennis Smith Jr. probably plays about 15 minutes. They have Corey Joseph, revenge game narrative. He's actually been pretty solid. Corey Joseph's been pretty solid, but only 19 minutes last couple games. If I had to pick one of these guards, it might be Kojo. Saban Lee, again, I really wish this Pistons team was not on the slate because it is so hard to break down what they're going to do. What I will say is probably have the most confidence in whoever starts. So whoever Detroit rolls out as a starting lineup, I think you can feel the best about. So monitor that, but minutes, it's just so hard to predict for some of these guys in Detroit. Finally, Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox, we go from Detroit in like a 15-man rotation to like an 8-man rotation for the Kings. So, Fox I think is a good play at the top. He's going to play big minutes, good matchup. Holmes, viable tournament play. Has not been great recently, but we know the upside is still there. Halliburton, Barnes, Hield, all viable in the mid-range. No one really stands out. DeLon Wright, revenge game at 4 or 5. He'll probably play about 20 minutes on the bench. It just kind of feels like a secondary option. You can take a shot on Terrence Davis, but again, if he's not hitting a shot, so does have a somewhat low floor. Shot 1 of 8 last game after shooting 10 of 14 the previous game. So again, viable, but he's got to hit his shots. And then Whiteside will probably play about 15 minutes on the bench. He's a solid point per minute guy if you want to go there, but don't expect huge minutes unless something happens to Holmes. So that is it for the team-by-team breakdown, guys. I wish I could give a better breakdown for Detroit, but it really kind of feels like a guessing game there. But that's going to do it for the video. So if you're enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't want to live. Thanks again. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.